Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome back to our series on the Havamal. Today we're looking at verse 154. And our first translation reads, "A tenth I know, when at night the witches ride and sport in the air, such spells I weave that they wander home, out of skins and wits bewildered." That's all of Bray. And the second translation, "I know a tenth. If troublesome ghosts ride the rafters aloft, I can work it so they wander astray, unable to find their forms, unable to find their homes." W.H. Auden and P.D. Taylor. And the final translation, "For the tenth I know, if I see troll wives sporting in air, I can so operate that they will forsake their own forms and their own minds." Vikinger.org. So, we're thwarting witches today. There is a countermeasure to all forms of power and those who wield it, and that is a reality of life. Not everyone who is within the craft particularly likes to acknowledge that, particularly those who might have been perhaps a little unduly influenced from New Age kind of thinking. But there's always a counter for something. There's always a counterbalance, a counterforce, something that evens it all out. And unfortunately, not everyone who practices the craft chooses to live by ethical standards, making it necessary for us to, for there to be ways to thwart us if someone does go off the rails. And another unfortunate state of affairs is that not all pagans or magical practitioners are always aligned in common interest. More's the pity, and because we have such difficulties knitting ourselves together, at least as a community, that's one of the reasons why we haven't been growing in a sustainable way as much as what we would like, which I think can be addressed, and that's a topic for another video. The truth is that magic can and sadly sometimes is weaponized, making it necessary to know how to counter it. And in Odin, of course, he's well aware of both the good and the bad in the magical world because he was a student of Freya herself. And defensive magic is always necessary, even if you never cross swords with an actual witch, which I hope you never do or have occasion to. Some energies and spirits are actively baneful and they can't be reasoned with. And it doesn't matter how much you want to live in peace, it doesn't matter how good your intentions are. There has to be two-sided. Everything is reciprocal, or or it's just a matter of who has a stronger will. So, at the very least, it is prudent to know how to shield oneself from unwelcome energies, even if you don't have a profound amount of magical capability. So let's talk about witches today. There are some within the craft who are of the very highest character and they're absolutely exemplary in their conduct. And then there are others who ought not be trusted with anything more dangerous than a slingshot. And I've met some of them, and I have tried to impress upon them the damage they do to themselves and to the community. And of course, they just pooh-poohed me into a corner. That's part of the essence of poor character and poor conduct. It's this very short term self-centered kind of thinking, the inability to see the bigger picture, the inability to see how all the dots connect. And it is dangerous, and unfortunately some of the people who have that dangerous mentality also have the talent to work magic. However, most of us are somewhere in between. We're just people, and as with any group of people, you will discover that there are extremes of good and bad, and the majority just kind of exist on a middle kind of ground. And while the subject of ethics and how power ought to be used continues to be hotly debated, the reality is that those who practice the craft today are overwhelmingly feeling protective of the entire pagan community, whatever label they choose for themselves, which is why we get a bit starchy if someone tries to throw us out of the pagan club for whatever pretext they think makes sense to them, or whatever the excuse is. It is very hurtful and it is very counterproductive. We live in a different world than our ancestors, and I don't think it's in the interest of anyone to just toss off the people who have talent and skill that could potentially safeguard and play a significant role in securing a pagan future. And I do think it's in the interest of all people who practice pagan spirituality to at least be friendly towards one another. This isn't about, mixing together our practices, mixing together our philosophies and beliefs, but it is about seeing ourselves as being in common cause and better off standing together, at least in principle, than, being atomized and apart. So that's what I took from the verse today. I'd like to hear your thoughts about it in the comments, so please don't be shy. But that'll do it for right now. And coming up next will be verse 155. So see you there. Bye for now.